In the annals of television broadcasting in Africa, Nigeria occupies an enviable place. In 1959, the continent's first television station was born in the ancient city of Ibadan, the largest city in West Africa, located in today's Oyo State. It was dubbed Western Nigerian Television, WNTV. Indeed, television came to Nigeria ahead of some countries in Europe and America. Little wonder, Oyo State is dubbed the pacesetter state. Naturally, it was thought that when it comes to digital switchover, Nigeria will again be at the forefront on the African continent. But that has not been the case. Digital switchover is a process which converts analog television broadcasting to digital television. Nigeria is a signatory to the Geneva 2006 agreements to transit from digital terrestrial television broadcasting alongside member states of the International Telecommunications Union. The ITU had set 2015 as deadline for transition to digital broadcast in ultra-high frequency and 2020 for very high frequency all over the world.
You have to realize that Nigeria, like any other African country, has no option but to go digital, because Nigeria was a signatory to the ITS, the convention that mandates all of us to switch over. If we don't, of course there will be consequences, because our neighboring countries who do eventually switch over may have an edge over us if we have any interference in signal. So that is one, apart from added benefits that the whole DSO will bring to TV viewers in terms of having choices to watch crisp, clear, clean signals, unlike what they used to watch before, in addition to watching multi-channels on one go on the same box or on the same TV set.
Digital content and analog receiver are not compatible. So you need an in-between so that the digital signal received by your antenna can be received on your television set, because we cannot ask everybody to change their television set from analog to digital. So you need a box called set-top box, which is simply either you call it a converter, you call it a decoder, but will stand between the digital signal received by the antenna and the television set that is essentially analog, and you can get the television content. That box is an issue. It costs money all over the world. Like even in America, there have been subsidy from government to the people to enable them have the set-top box. Now we're talking terrestrial. There have been some climes where the decoders from subscriber-based content provider are prevalent. In such, it is easy to use the satellite. And once they use the satellite, the boxes are there.
Since the International Telecommunications Union set the target, Nigeria has set 3 targets for itself in 2012, 2015, and 2017, but failed to meet any of the targets as well as the opportunities for wealth creation. Nigeria missed its target for 5 concurrent years. A combination of political will, technical expertise, and operational know-how has helped governments across the world to set up digital switchover platforms, where Nigeria has faced all kinds of problems in its desire to achieve digital switchover. Nigeria did not start anything significant along this line until 2012, when the White Paper Drafting Committee completed its work. The National Broadcasting Commission received the White Paper that year, but the implementation started in 2014 with the call for expression of interest to appoint a signal distributor. By July 2014, Pinnacle Communications was named the preferred bidder, after competing against 9 other companies. Integrated Television Services Company Limited, owned by Nigeria Television Authority (NTA), became the default signal distributor in line with the recommendations of the white paper.
The generally global practice is that DSO cannot be complete in a nation if you do not cover up to 75% to 80% of the TV landscape.
So we're supposed to have three transmitters in all these states. So we're trying as much as possible to do that, to make sure that we cover all those areas with the 3 transmitters before we start looking at the gap fillers transmitter. Those are low frequency for transmitters. So once those ones are done, we'll move to Lagos. We're sure of going to Lagos. Our technical personnel are already on ground. And as soon as possible, we roll out in Lagos and other areas that we need to roll out and cover the whole nation. But again, Lagos will be our next target.
Pinnacle is working with ITS, the other signal distributor. They have now formed a purpose vehicle, which is free TV platforms, to take things further for us. So you are going to see an exponential improvement in the entire architecture of the DSO process, largely because companies like Pinnacle are part of the development. So it's a major victory for Nigeria.
By September 2014, Pinnacle had paid 618 million naira as license fee to the NBC. But after receiving the license, Pinnacle Communications officials discovered to their disappointment that the NBC had taken out some of the revenue-generating components and allowed other operators to self-carry in a manner that jeopardizes the signal carrier's interest and contrary to the white paper. The signal carrier had no choice but to go to court. But about 1.5 years later, the NBC and the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, prevailed on Pinnacle Communications to come back to the fold and take his position as a signal distributor. It was mandated to deliver the Abuja Switchover Transmission Center within 3 months. Pinnacle did.
The significance of this event cannot be lost on the world as the digital switchover becomes reality in the capital city of Africa's largest economy and its most populous nation. We are right to say that we stand at the threshold of very exciting times for job creation, entertainment, and in general, local and international commerce. I'm also pleased to note that the signal distributor for the Abuja switchover, Pinnacle Communications, is a wholly owned Nigerian company which has invested considerably in transmission services and will be transmitting 30 channels even in this first phase. Indeed, strong partnerships with the private sector is a defining strategy of our economic plan. This is as it should be.
We are now going into full gear to launch across the rest of the country and to commence the switch off. I've continued to reiterate and the high quality of the service that Pinnacle Communications, our signal distributor, has put up here today goes to confirm that our objective is not just to move customers and Nigerians from analog to digital in a simple technical sense, but to ensure a total overhaul of the whole TV watching experience and the economy around it.
Kaduna Center was delivered in December 2017.
To the glory of God and for the progress of Nigeria and for all the opportunities that will arise from the digitalization of broadcasting in Nigeria, it is my honor and privilege to cut this, to declare this digital transmitting station open. The fact that one of the 2 recognized signal distributors is Kaduna-based and Kaduna indigenous is a source of pride for us. And we are very grateful to the government for conferring this status on Pinnacle Communications.
Pinnacle Communications Limited have installed the most modern state-of-the-art broadcast facilities to ensure that people in our state get access to the very best of the world of terrestrial television. For that, we must thank Sir Lucky Omolua, who has very exacting standards of performance. And in the near 30 years that I've known this self-effacing gentleman, I can attest to the fact that he has never wavered from those standards.
That we're here today is largely due to the dynamism of one uncommon patriot, the chairman of Pinnacle Communication. This is a man who has invested in this DSO. And I can tell you, yes, he's a businessman, but his motive is not just to make a profit. Within the next few weeks, we'll be rolling out in many more states as we seek to take the digital television experience to all the 6 geopolitical zones. We now have our 2 signal distributors in full operation mode. Our aggregation platform for channels, Free TV, is fast becoming a household name. Our set-top box manufacturers have started local production, and we now have almost 1 million boxes supplied into the value chain.
Gombe has been ready since early 2019, but it is not switched on yet.
We in Gombe State, we welcome the digitalization program. All the stations in Gombe State will hook the digitalization program and will have the maximum benefit of watching more stations nationwide. So we welcome digitalization, and we believe with the assistance of Pinnacles, with what they have been doing on the ground, digitalization will come of age as far as Pinnacles is concerned, and we in Gombe State, we will give the necessary support needed by Pinnacles.
I visited the Abuja Transmission Center of Pinnacle Communications, located in Pape, Abuja. It was a most revealing trip. This is the Pinnacle Communications Digital Terrestrial Television Broadcast Center, located here in Pape in the heart of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. This structure and the mast to my right were put up within 90 days in line with the mandate of the federal government. Now come with me as we go in to see what lies inside. It was an opportunity to see for myself the equipment on ground at this facility that has not failed to transmit since 2016. Tony Weber is the chief engineer of this facility. He threw more lights on the operations here.
National, regional signals, combines it with local signals in order to produce the pipe, what we call the pipe, that will go to the 2 transmitters for broadcast.
This is the Pinnacle Communications monitoring room. All the 30 channels on the Pinnacle bouquet are represented here. And to my left are the decoders for each of the 30 channels that you can see here. Can you tell me how this works?
Yeah, this is basically the channel, the decoders that are set to signal from the antenna that comes in here, that is on the customer's decks at homes. So we are able to use that principle to monitor that here. So these decoders are nothing but changing analog to digital for the customer to be able to see it at home.
Okay. And they will come in pristine, clear quality.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Because most of the TVs at homes are analog,
yes,
and they may not be able to pick up a digital transmission. So this actually do the conversion for them to be able to see that digital signals.
Okay, thank you. And how long did it take to set up this facility? This facility?
This particular part of the facility was maybe about 2 weeks, but we already had the design.
Yeah.
So it was quite very straightforward. It was just really bringing in the panels in order to do this, and the desk. Okay. It wasn't in the scheme of things, it was just a small part of it.
One thing is certain, Pinnacle Communications is a Nigerian success story. It typifies the can-do spirit of the Nigerian, and it shows clearly to us that when the Nigerian is determined to achieve his aim, he gets that done in record time. This structure was put up in record time. And since 2016, it has delivered success, success, and success.
Assuming this place
It's
goes
fire.
So that's the concept of that.
Okay. The engineers here told me that since 2016, there has never been a break in transmission at Pinnacle Communications Broadcast Center here in Pape, Abuja. On my left, you have the solar panels, just in case anything happens to the 3 generators on site. And of course, there are huge reservoirs for diesel in case the public electricity supply becomes a problem. Just when it seemed the digital switchover was on an irreversible upward climb, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, on the 15th of April 2019, posted a press statement on its website announcing the trial of the DG of the NBC and 2 principal officials of Pinnacle Communications. It is a 12-count charge bordering on abuse of office, money laundering, and misleading a public officer with the intent to defraud the federal government in contravention of Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act of year 2000. Prosecutors allege that Alhaji Modibo Kawu, MBCDG, fraudulently recommended Pinnacle Communications Limited to the Minister of Information and Culture for the release of 2.5 billion naira against the guidelines contained in the white paper. This charge is a curious one, given the fact that Pinnacle became a signal distributor after a competitive bidding process in 2014, whereas the NBC Director General assumed office in 2016, 2 years after. Given the fact that the other signal distributor, ITS, had been paid the sum of 1.7 billion naira, it is difficult to sustain the argument that the payment to Pinnacle Communications was fraudulently made. Indeed, in the minister's statement to the ICPC, he admitted that as the person made the accounting officer by the white paper, he approved the payment based on Section 11, subsection 2C, quoted by the DG NBC. He argued that he did not need to go to the council to obtain approval, since there was already a presidential directive covering such payments. But how far can the prosecution go in proving his case? No one knows. One thing is certain: the defendants are convinced that they have a watertight case. The court case aside, many Nigerians want a quick resolution of the lingering impasse so that the country can join countries like Kenya, Malawi, Namibia, Tanzania, Uganda, and Zimbabwe that have completed the digital switchover rollout.
The federal government should be commended for what it has done so far. They have laid the architecture. The next thing for us is to switch over. And Nigeria has the professional, the crop of professionals that can actually handle this. However, I want to add, as the keynote speaker said, we should also reskill. We should acquire more skill, embrace the new technology as professionals, sharpen our skills so that we'll be able to find a place for ourselves when finally we switch over in the digitalization process.
I think it's evolving. Social media has also helped a lot in, propping and taking it to the next level. But I also think that practitioners should also equip themselves, so you still find broadcasters who are not also inclined digitally. You still find some of them who still remain in the analog system. But like I said, it is evolving, and as many media personnel and broadcast houses who are also able to digitalize, they'll be able to do a whole lot. It's getting more interesting, and then for TV media, it's getting even more. You find crisp quality, you find picture qualities that are very good. you find the reach as well. So digital is not just using the social media, but you find in terms of content. So unlike when it was the analog where pictures could be a bit blurry and boring to watch, people now are attracted to TV because it's more digital, and then just a flip of a second, you are attracted by the quality picture you see, and then you want to watch more. But basically, I think it's heading in the right direction, but we need to do more. And it costs a lot, because it now means that all TV stations or all media houses have to be on 24 hours. You wouldn't want to lose any of your listener because there's competition now. So you find every media house wanting to also be on 24 hours and find a way of reaching out.
I think in my own perspective, the future is bright for the Nigerian media, because all over the world now, everybody is upgrading, and that is why there's a need for our media to keep on reinventing themselves. If you don't reinvent yourself, you are out of business. You all know what is happening now concerning the social media. Every day there's something coming up new, and you don't have any option but to latch onto it. So if the conventional media don't take advantage of this digitalization, they are going to go out of business.
It is projected that the digital switchover will generate 50,000 direct jobs, 500,000 indirect jobs, and lead to the establishment of 200 new television channels that will be available for free to the viewing public.
The digital switchover is a job creator, because as it is, you have a lot of content providers that are coming on board, because the distributors, a single transmitters that's actually being used by the analog era will be able to carry more than 40 channels as it is. So again, you have a lot of content providers on board and create a lot of jobs. Then you have set up people that will manufacture the set-top boxes, and set-top boxes is another source of revenue to Nigerians and Nigerian government.
At least the entrepreneurs that have put their money into this will also make a gain. They will employ people. Employment increases. Don't forget that if they are able to do this, anybody who can set up shop and manufacture set-top boxes can do your phones, can manufacture tablets. And don't forget, after this transition, there will be transition at the viewer's end. Sometimes the viewer gets tired of his analog television, wants to acquire a digital television. These people are set up and they can manufacture the digital television. So you can see the chain. And as digital technology evolves, you've heard of Internet of Things, they will be in position to manufacture these things. So there will be knowledge transfer, technology transfer, and you have people employed.
Today we have 195 million people in our country. So we're going to change the entire narrative of television, and then it's going to be offering new platforms to create new content. Nigeria is the heart of content in Africa, but we have only merely scratched the surface of our potentials. We're going to create newer and newer platforms of younger people creating new content for Nigeria. So there is a strategic imperative that we're creating new jobs and getting young people to use television to communicate their ideas and hopefully their patriotism for the Nigerian society.
Content is et up. Once you broadcast, you can't keep broadcasting the same thing. People get bored. So there's a constant thirst for new program, new things to view, and the program producers have got to be out there trying to produce it. And that will produce a lot of jobs in this country.
If and when Nigeria completes the DSO rollout, it will become the largest digital TV market in Africa. Nigerians simply can't wait for that day to come.